So in this episode, we'll be talking about a possible sequel for Evil Dead. Let's get started. So recently, Sam Raimi announced that they're kicking around a few ideas for an Evil Dead sequel, which of course is going to raise a lot of questions. Starting with, didn't Bruce Campbell already announce twice on his Twitter that he has retired from playing the character of Ash? Meaning, he's no longer going to portray Ash in movies or TV shows. However, he will continue to do voiceovers in video games. If you're unaware about the upcoming Evil Dead video game, go ahead and click that link right there. Now, Sam Raimi did go on to state, I'd love to make another one. I don't think TV is in its future, but we're talking about Bruce Campbell, Rob Tabbert, and myself. One or two ways to go for the next movie. And Sam Raimi also went on to say, we'd like to make another Evil Dead feature, and in fact, we're working on some ideas right now. Sam Raimi has one idea if Bruce Campbell wants to come back, and one idea if he opts out, but Alvarez, the director of the remake, is able to return. And one more idea if both fall through. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about some possible ideas for an Evil Dead trilogy, including what I think would be the best play for a sequel. Let's go ahead and start off with, well, can't they just continue off where they left off in Army of Darkness? No, I don't necessarily think that they would or should for multiple reasons. One, well, look how old Bruce Campbell is now, and look how young he was in Army of Darkness. Unfortunately, that timeline would not match up really well unless they pulled a Harry Potter and had a huge CGI budget and all that great shit. Now, of course, they could go the J.J. Abrams Star Trek route, pull a little time travel, screw up, and change the entire timeline of Evil Dead, which could mean that, well, he's old and he's in the past and it could all sync up, but that would just be dumb as hell in my opinion. Now, of course, they could bring in Maya, whatever the hell her name was. We don't discuss the remake here because the remake was just awful. They completely missed the mark on what made Evil Dead so great. They took it way too seriously, they didn't put enough comedy in it, and it was just a mess. Now, as a standalone film, if you remove the Evil Dead name, it was okay, but the fact that they listed it under Evil Dead, it just missed the mark completely. It was horrible, in my opinion. Even though Sam Raimi did state that the remake does take place in the Evil Dead timeline, he also stated that it takes place far away from Ash's part in the timeline. So I don't think that they should bring Maya. Again, I don't really care to remember her name. I don't care at all. I want that movie gone, out of my memory. Goodbye. Chop that shit off, put it in a blender, and kick it off to a $2 hooker. I don't care where it ends up. Now, I know some of you want to continue off where Ash versus Evil Dead ended. And of course, that would be brilliant. That would be amazing because we all want to know what happens to Ash in the future, and it would add up with his age and all that other great shit. However, I don't think it should go on. I think Ash vs. Evil Dead ended exactly where it should end and should be left open to interpretation at that point. Or as I had tweeted to Bruce Campbell at the end of Ash vs. Evil Dead, they should completely end the character and the whole series in a video game because I think that would be the best way to end it as us portraying Ash and just finishing everything up. So with all that out of the way, we've gotten all your Army of Darkness continuation out of the way, why I don't think it would work. The Maya crossover, I don't like that idea at all because, well, again, the remake did not suit the series for Evil Dead in my opinion. And as far as Ash vs. Evil Dead is concerned, I think it ended perfectly. Even though it was cut short and they were probably going to continue it further, I think it ended perfect. There's no need to continue it. I know you fans just want to see it continued for the sake of it continuing, but you got to remember, if you keep pushing shit and keep stretching things on too long, it will become crap. You want to go out on a high note. I think that's exactly what they did. The same as Seinfeld, and I think it's perfect the way it sits. Now, let's discuss what I think would make a perfect Evil Dead sequel. Or two. I think what they really need to do is offer Bruce Campbell a nice little chunk of money to come back as a cameo and kind of do passing of the torch in a scenario where maybe we have one of his kids show up. Boy, girl, it doesn't matter. I know the woke narrative is out there, so let's, for the sake of that, let's say he's got a daughter. All right. Now you're going to tell me this guy doesn't have 20, 30 kids out there with as many hookers and women as he's banged over the last 30 some years? I find it highly unlikely. There is at least 10 kids he has out there, guaranteed, that he's unaware of. So I think what needs to happen, I think we need to see a girl or a boy, doesn't matter, son, daughter, going out and having the Deadites attacking them. Why are the Deadites after this kid? Well, it would turn out in the end that this kid is actually the offspring or child of Ash. And the Deadites are really well aware at this point that Ash is too old. He can't do anything. There's going to be a lot of comedic moments out of this. You can be coughing out fucking dust for all it matters. Pushing a little, walker or something funny as hell. An old man just, and then pulling his back out. Kind of some of the moments we had in Ash versus Evil Dead. I think that would be comedic as hell. And of course, it would turn out that this is his son or daughter that he was unaware that he had. And this is why the Deadites were after him, because they realized that this kid will grow up to be the new savior of the world, such as Ash was, because it's passing along those genetics in his bloodline. So they have to take him out, and if they kill the son or daughter, then they have dominance over the world, they can reign supreme, make light dark again, all that great shit that they want to achieve. And of course, we can end it brilliantly with him dying. Ash needs to go out officially. I think he needs to die in the arms of his son or daughter. And in that moment, with the demons behind him, he or she is holding his head. He dies, then picks up the boomstick and the chainsaw and turns around. We see a pan and just evilness, pissed off. This child is so pissed because they killed the father that they just met. And now they're never going to get to have those father-son moments or get to know each other. Lost everything. It's got to be demented. Come on. It's Evil Dead. Then, of course, it pans out with all the demons, and it's about to be a huge war, which leads us into the sequel, which I think would be a badass continuation from that moment. We have a full-on Lord of the Rings battle, huge budget, where it's something we've always wanted to see. We've always wanted to see an army of Deadites versus a whole bunch of people behind Ash, but in this case it would be his son, daughter. We could even bring in Pablo and Kelly and whoever else we want to bring into a crossover. Because you gotta remember, with Kelly and Pablo, they could technically be weaved in because we kind of ended it on another note where we're in the future and they're technically dead. So maybe bring in some people where they met along the way and we just have an army. Maybe where it's training. Maybe a Terminator 2-esque futuristic battle where they have an army and we just have a full-on fucking battle for 2 hours. I think that might be pretty badass. But with all that said, I want your thoughts are down in the comment section below. Do you like my idea to have a whole passing of the torch sequel followed up by a huge battle royale for 2 hours? Or do you want to see some whole bunch of nasty CGI and maybe have a continuation from Army of Darkness, or kind of bring in some elements from Ash vs. Evil Dead, even though I don't necessarily think that we should. I think that should be its own standalone timeline from the movies. Also, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification box. If you don't, you will know if I have kick-ass shit such as this. And be sure to give this video a thumbs up, because more of you likes on this video, we'll get you another Evil Dead video on this channel. And don't forget to join the Slasher Club at theslasherclub.com, where you'll be able to access behind-the-scenes videos, skits, some episodes 1 week early, and you'll even be able to get access to the drive-in, where we watch old-school horror movies in a live stream. And of course, there's a whole lot more cool shit going on in there that I'm not going to tell you about just yet. Also, don't forget, merch link down in the description below. Eat, sleep, / repeat, the 4 essentials for any horror fan. And don't forget to join us in Discord, because that's where we're going to have a kick-ass time in there. Also, if you haven't signed up yet, don't forget I'm doing a giveaway. I'm giving away copies of Blair Witch, the game. Link for that contest is also down in the description below. And as always, I'll see you next time.